All going shed? How are we? A bit late with this one, not late but had other things to do. I've been working on the MV, as you can see, taking the exhaust off. To get the exhaust off you have to take so much apart, it's unbelievable. The front pipes are a bit tricky, they are over there and they're in a mess. I'll show you. Rather than trying to talk about it, I'll actually show you my problem. Here is my problem. These don't separate anywhere. These collars are on here. I would like these re-chromed, as you can see, black in the metal, and I don't know what to do. I believe there's a company, Worcester Way, that actually makes exhaust. I was thinking of trying to find them, contact them, send them this and say, could you redo that in stainless maybe, I don't know. Sounds expensive though, doesn't it? But hey, maybe worth, I don't know. I'll have to see where that one takes me. Right, now once I've got those off, I can now take this off, which was the whole point of taking that off, other than the fact that it's all going to get stripped. But once I get this down, it's 5mm Allen holds this in, and all these from here through to here all came undone, not a problem. Bit tight, so you use the long side first and then just spin them out. Got to these however, and they're buried by that much, so you can't use the short one, you can't use that in there, it just doesn't get there. So I put this in, this is a bally end one, which has its uses, but one of the failures of these, especially when they're like these ones, which are fairly old, well, you can get down there and get on the Allen key, sorry, the set screw, and you can put something on there as a lever. It just felt like it was going to strip the head and damage the head, which is what these little suckers do. So, are a great expense, and I seriously mean a great expense, because they're not cheap. I bought one of these. These are from your local mechanic supplier in a van. You know who I mean. My problem is I'm not in work any longer, so I never see I'm going to tell you, Snap-on guy. So I got on the old interweb net, and you can buy direct from Snap-on. That on its own, I think it was 27 quid. They charge you £6, nearly £7 for delivery. 30 odd quid. It ain't funny anymore. But anyway, it's what you needed to get down there. And I know there are cheap ones on the market, blah blah blah, but I do know, because I've got a few of these for specialist jobs I've done in the past in my career as a mechanic. I know they work. I know they don't round the heads readily. I know the quality is there, so rather than mess about, I bit the bullet and bought it. Here we go. Now, how to get these really tight ones out. It's quite interesting, because over the years I've found different methods of doing things. I use one of these a lot around everything I do. It's a copper hide-faced mallet. You have to be righteous to use these, apparently, or worthy I think is it, because it's Thor's hammer. It says so here, it's Thor's. Thor was a god of thunder from Asgard. He's a Norse god, and to get into Valhalla you had to die with a sword in your hand. Thor couldn't do it, he didn't have a bloody sword, he hadn't used a mallet, well a hammer, so poor old Thor. Never mind, anyway, my top tip. Actually, he must have been a dickhead. Anyway, here's my top tip for using these and these. Slide it in. Yeah, that one. Slide it in. Don't just go at it. tap it quite vigorously, is it, in my opinion. Just give it a good rap, maybe 2. And firstly, it seats the key in. Secondly, I'm convinced it rattles the threads. The other thing I use is an impact driver. I bought this impact driver for a particular job. Seems to be my life. Need a tool, buy it for a job and have it forever. This, for those of us, or for those of you who are old enough to remember, when they used to put doors on cars, they used to use a big crosshead, 3 of them on each hinge, and accountant, they were buggers to get off because they always pegged it over and put on anything else. It was for an Austin 1100. That's how old this sucker is, and I've had it ever since. And again, it was from the same guy that got the Allen keys off, and it was so much money back then, and I was so broke back then. I had to have it on the never never, you know, pay weekly. So you've done that, you put it on, and then you feel it, get it right, and you should be able to get it with, yeah, 1 good rap. Got it. So you go for the next one, you find it, put it in. I've found with these long drivers that are quite springy, so they can give your fingers quite a stun if you're not careful. So I always hold something, like cloth or rag, or that's paper, you get the idea. And again, 1 good, maybe 2. There she goes. Went on the second one, and it just worked. They just work. It's the way to do it. I would. It's very difficult. I know. When we're working with bikes, it's sometimes easy to go for cheapy tools because we're only playing with our bikes, only our hobby. It's not like we're professionals. Now, I've got my toolkit from making my living out of spanner and shit. So I've never skimped on tools, and I have found it to be definitely very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's false economy to have cheap tools. I was talking to a chappie, it must have been a year ago now, I was still in work, and he was a mechanic like himself, and he was saying, oh, he wouldn't spend the big money on his tools, he's only a youngster. And I said, spend as much as you want, but I've always spent big. And he said, well, why? So, well, I've got some spanners in there that are sort of, I know they are about 40 years old, because we've just had not long since had a anniversary, me and the wife, and we've been married 42 years. So I know I had some of these tools before we were married. So, you know, yeah, they're dear, but hell, they last. I guess if you're 60, you're not going to want them to last 40 years, I guess. Having said that, you know, now I've said that, I'm now coming on 70. I've been married for 40, that only takes me to 30. And I was in my 20s when I started buying my spanners. So some of these bits of kit are really old. Wow. I think I need to sit down for a minute now. No, never mind. Let's get on. Right. I'm not. Right. And rack. You can hear that second thud is really quite a strong. You can feel it seat. And then it's yep, there she goes. That actually went on the first one, to be honest. Yeah, and we're away. We are now in business. I can now take this off completely, and it'll be all's well. Now, I've already drained the. Oh, by the way, for those of you that saw the last time, when I drained this of oil, and this was all furry, I put fresh oil in to fire it up. firing up went really well. That was all good. And then when I took this out the second time, having run it a little bit with fresh oil, nothing on it, clean as a whistle. So I'm really quite pleased about that bit, even though it's washed down and clean. Anyway, yeah, you know what I'm saying. It was just a good sign. It gave me hope for the future. Hope. I live in hope. Hopes and dreams is how I build my motorbikes. So I'm going to remove all of these. I have to say, the fit and finish of all of these cases on this MV is really something. Really is something. They're just so well fitted and well made, you know. You can just tell by the feel of stuff sometimes. It's like the spanners, I suppose. Pay more, you get better. But I think it is the law of diminishing. Now that's interesting, because with all of the Japanese stuff and what have you, and other bikes, all the screws are different sizes, and it's a bugger remembering them. Sometimes the sizing is only very slight. These have gone for recessing these right deep, so all the screws remain the same size. So although in one sense it's a bit of a bugger, in another it's great because you can't mix them up. You just can't mix things up. It's wonderful. Yeah, see, they're all the same size. But you can't see. There you go. Honestly, truthfully, they're the same size. Which makes life later on a lot easier. It's almost like somebody sat and designed it. I have to say, as I'm opening this case up, it's a rather an odd aroma to it. It must be the clutch material that you've used. Come on out. Thank you. Can I get that middle one? Yeah, I did. One more. One more. And we're done. There you go. All out, all the same size. Wonderful. Very expensive for what it is, but proof, pudding, job done. Right, back to Mighty Thor. Here's where I now use the leather side of it, because judging by how tight it now, again, makes a liar out of me. I thought that was going to be stuck on there like mad, but it isn't. Lovely. Wow, beautiful and clean. Absolutely beautifully clean. Very pleased. That's a neat little system, isn't it? I do prefer clutches on the gearbox rather than the one or two bikes, as you're probably all aware, have the clutch on the end of the crank. I always find it makes them a bit snatchy feeling. But that's lovely, isn't it? It's tiny. Again, like the other side, beautifully machined. Hang on a sec, let me just... The other good thing is this blue roll. It's wonderful stuff. And once you've got plenty of oil on it, it's ace for getting your fire going. Although the temperature has soared late this week. Yeah. Let's have a quick look. Oh yes. That's really very nice. Sandcast by the look. Pretty sure it is. But this looks like a direct oil feed. That's impressive. Very impressive. The plates don't look worn. They look okay. We'll probably take them off later. So anyway, as you can see, this engine's in really disgusting state. So it's one of the reasons I'm taking it all out. And I'm going to be cleaning all the frame up and painting the frame and what have you. And I've got to do the forks. Forks are absolutely shattered. The taking off the foot pegs was not to do, it was easy enough to do. But getting the bolt out was a bugger, because it forms the part of the engine mounts, quite a big long thing. See, that's a mess, isn't it? It's just what we don't need in our life. What I am going to do, now that I've reminded myself, is I'm going to slide that on there, put the nut on it, so as I know where the hell it all is later. There we go. There we go. Pardon me. I can now start getting into the stripping of the carbs off, getting everything off. Really pleased with that. I'll leave it to drain and get ready for polishing it, because every example of the Ipotesi that I've seen, both the Sport and the Tourer, they've all had these beautifully polished cases, and mine have been left. So I'll be using the old whizzy wheel to brighten them up, and we'll get that. Sorry about my phone, it's the motion sensor for my security system. And then we'll be getting into it a bit more. Like I say, it's a bit of an instructional tutorial video on how to work an impact driver. Again, as old as this one is, it's really good, because again, when I was in work, the young lad, he was so impressed with my impact driver when I showed him how to work it, he bought one from somewhere else, and it looked very impressive. It had a nice grip on it. It doesn't undo bolts, it's useless. This one actually works where his didn't, even though this is the old one. So, oh, shut up. So it really is quite interesting. Not only do the good tools last longer, they actually work, they actually do the job. Right, I think that's me done, because I've got other stuff to do today, which is a bit sad, because I'm kind of getting to enjoy myself there a bit. And like I say, I'm really pleased with the bike and the look of that engine. So next time I'll be putting a jack under here. I'll be taking out the bolts. Well, first I'll be removing the carburetors, disconnecting the wiry bits, taking out the bolts. I'll put a jack under them. We'll just see if we can quietly take the engine out. That'll be interesting. That'll be a very interesting little game to play. And so again, like I say, I've got to clean this up. It's just too much of a mess. It isn't going to be a rolling resto, as they call them. The one thing I do need to do is sort out rims. I'm not going to panic about them though. I'm thinking about getting it on the road first. Okay, the rest of it will look lovely, and I'll have scruffy rims. But I think what I need to do before I start spending the sort of money that they cost is give it a run first. Get it to make sure I like it. What's not to like, and then away we go. The business of getting it ready for the road is going to take a while. The whole business of reconstructing these old bikes, you can kind of get yourself into the non-stop, I'll just do the next bit, I'll just do this. And at some point you do have to bloody draw a line under it and go, enough's enough here, guys. So anyway, yeah, I've started to ramble. So like I say, big tips for today, good tools, copper and leather mallet, always handy to have around in the workshop. They do wear quite quickly. I'll tell you that now. Okay folks, that's me done. I'm going to go for a brew. What time is it? Oh, it's only 4:30. Well, 4:20 is 4:30. I've got another hour and a half to wait before I can drink the wine. Oh dear.